Everyone, how are you? So, as promised, I am talking to BEHR Paints today. So, I have Carlene Lower, who is, you know what, I'm going to let Carlene tell you what she is because I'm not sure what her exact title is, but I know Wendy Urias is my local rep here in Phoenix for BEHR. So, I have the architectural kit right here. I tried to get as much of it in as I could, you guys, but I kind of like couldn't. Like I needed another table back there. But here's the cover. Isn't this fun? This is the cover to it, and it goes right here in front. And I tell you, that's one of the. It goes right down like that, and and I can put it in my cabinet. And let me tell you, this is one of my very favorite things about this kit, is because it is sealed all the way around. I'm trying to do this without looking in behind me. This is talent, people. And I like it that it's all enclosed, so I don't have to dust it. Like in my cabinets behind me, I have some other binders from other brands, and I have another cabinet around the corner. I have all the architectural kits, right? And I really like this one because it's all enclosed, and it's actually kind of small-ish. So it will fit easily in the back of my trunk if I want to throw it in there. And you guys know I travel light, right? Because, you know, I usually only have my device, the Color Me is a Spectro, my iPad, my notebook, and unless I'm going back for another visit, that's when I have my painted mighty boards for the samples. But I normally travel light. But if you wanted to put the whole kit in the back of your trunk or SUV, it would fit. It would fit. So this is the new, and I haven't even opened it yet. This is an official unboxing. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. This is a brand new fan deck that Carlene sent me, and it's really convenient because you see this. This is just all of the whites, off-whites, and near neutrals, light near neutrals, and you know, some darker near neutrals in here too. So it's chromatic grays of all of the different value steps in this little smaller fan deck. And then the bigger fan deck, this is what it looks like new in wrapper. And this is the other one that I have that Wendy actually dropped on my front porch. I believe it was Wendy that dropped it on my front porch. And this is the one I had opened up. So let's see what else. Since I talked to you guys last, don't look at my fingernails. I broke two. We had a garage sale. We had a neighborhood garage sale. And I tell you what, that was something else. So I am still recovering from that, and my nails didn't make it through. So that is one of the last things. That's one of the last steps of recovery after that garage sale. But I was looking forward to this for like a week. It's like, you know, I'm going to get to talk to the BEHR people and hear all about their new architectural kit and their new colors. And I've been looking forward to this for several days. So let me bring on, let's do Carlene first. And I'm going to let Carlene introduce herself. Hey, Carlene, how are you?
Great. How are you? Thanks for having us on today.
Yeah, absolutely. I was hoping you could tell everyone a little, you know, who you are, what you do, and what's going on.
Well, I am in the Texas market as an architectural and design services for this market, growing with the team. We are rapidly expanding our architectural and design personnel across the country, and our focus is to get all these tools into the architects and the designers' hands and the color consultants, and make sure that you guys understand our system and how easy it is to use and to work with. And we love color over here. This is what we do. This is what we love. So I saw you and I'm like, I've got to get her to see our kit and to learn about it and be ready to go with it.
Well, you know, I've been a fan of the BEHR palette for a very long time, and there's like over 7,000 colors, you know, over the years, different collections that you guys have. Because you know, I have the Paint Color DNA table, and I have all of the BEHR colors that I have used for one reason or another is currently in the DNA table. So if you guys want to see the colors that I've kind of fallen in love with over the years for one reason or another, just click BEHR in the brand filter, and you can see all of the BEHR colors that
I looked at what you put on there, and you have some beautiful, beautiful colors that are already loaded in there. So you've got a lot of the most popular colors that are in there, and you have a great eye to be able to zero in and find them. So good job.
Okay. Well, it's hard to choose. There's too many to choose from. So but the BEHR palette it's, you know, and I've said it for years. I mean, I've said it in on the house forums and in the Facebook groups and everything else. It's like, you guys, if you can't find your color, you should stop by the Home Depot and check out what BEHR has, because there's some hidden gems in there that, and it's like you guys don't brag enough. It's like,
Well, I agree with you. I haven't been with BEHR all that long, but one of the things, this is a personal opinion, this isn't a BEHR opinion, but this is my opinion. And I've been actively involved in color for over 25 years. So, I feel like I know color pretty well. When I looked at the palette, I thought, wow, for the first time, there is a palette that, sometimes people throw in a little stripe in a fabric and it's not a very pretty color, and it's not a color you would want to paint on a wall.
Right.
It's almost like sometimes they just throw up a Pantone color chart and say, we can make this paint. Well, all of that is not a great paint color. So I feel like the BEHR palette, every color in that entire palette is a beautiful color for a paint in a room. Yeah. And so that kind of dummy proofs it in a way.
Yeah. I mean, you do have some brights and vivids in there, so if someone's looking for those, but they're kind of deeper and richer. They aren't super vibrant, I noticed, and I'm looking at it right now.
They're very pure.
There's some vibrancy to the tail end of the chip. If we're going, this is what I pulled up. It's like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. But here's some vibrant blues. It's like, they do get a little vibrant as you get down there towards the bottom of the chip. So you have a handful of those for sure. If commercially or whatever, sometimes you need those brand colors, and it's nice to have them. And one of my favorite things to talk about is how for the longest time there was a little meme out there on social media that only 20% of the colors in a fan deck are actually the useful colors. Like the other 80% nobody touches. Right. And I always kind of had a problem with that, because number one, I've lived in different parts of the country, and it wasn't until I moved from Ohio that I understood that, yeah, the 20% that I was using out of the fan decks worked in Ohio, but it's a whole different color game here in the Southwest.
Absolutely.
And that's why there are so many colors in that fan deck. So you can't, and then I did a couple commercial spaces where it was actually, it was a fitness wellness center, and they had a juice bar and the whole, I don't know what all they made, but they had a food place. After you did yoga and stuff, you could go get your snacks and everything. Well, their brand colors were a bright, vivid blue, not really it was darker. It doesn't matter the details. I can get off on those tangents, but it was a vibrant blue and kind of a punchy lime green. And then they also had, the third color was, little pops of orange and everything. And so they wanted a mural and a graphic on the wall. And, I needed those kinds of punchy big colors. And so that's it's like, oh, yet again, if you're talking 20% of the fan deck, then you're probably talking to someone who's only ever done residential in one place.
You're very right. And the thing about it is there are over 13 million colors in the color spectrum. So, we can be all over the board with that stuff, but we've narrowed it down to 1,606. There was, 6 we needed to add in there to create our palette. So we have quite a few colors, but what I love about it is I saw one time you were talking about primer colors underneath the darker colors and what to do. I watched your whole video, and we have the opinion that, get your primer mixed to whatever undertone, if you're doing a red, mix your primer to red, mix your, blue primer, put that blue underneath there. And we even have symbols throughout the deck that tells you, hey, this is one coat coverage. And in some of them, it's not going to be one coat coverage. The darker you go, the harder that coverage seems to be. And so a primer does come into play on those really dark, vivid colors. And we tell you, hey, don't expect this to do with one coat unless you're using, our very premium marquees and dynasties. And it tells you whether it'll work or not. So we try to keep people under where they have realistic expectations on whatever color it is that they select, because we can't blanket say, hey, this is going to be one coat across the whole board.
Right.
So
Right.
We're trying to dummy proof it as much as possible.
Well, it's information, and it's it's hard to strike that balance of overwhelming people with too many details, but you want to make sure that you're getting all the important information. And you know, the fact is, when it comes to paint and color, there are a lot of details that you need to know and understand. That's when someone has never painted before and they reach out to me for help, it's an educational process. It's not just, hey, can you tell me what color?
Right.
It's like, well, what are we doing? And we have to talk about some of those details. Like you mentioned, red. One of my favorite tricks is to tint the primer brown. A brown under a
Right.
red, is beautiful. I mean, that's one of, the things. So it's not just, hey, can you tell me the color, name, and number, or what's your favorite white? That's going to work everywhere. It's a conversation, which is why we're here.
Well,
And
it's such a subjective.
up and cut off there. I missed it, Carlene. What'd you say?
I said we're in such a subjective world. When they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, we don't know who the beholder is sometimes when we're selecting colors. So you have to really dig deep.
Yeah. And you try to cover all the bases and keep it generic enough that, it's not too much to, overwhelm anyone. But we should bring Wendy on too. I'm going to let Wendy introduce herself. I got my braces adjusted, you guys. Also, between now and the garage sale, I also made it to an orthodontist, and it's like, it's first day with my new teeth.
I could never even know you had braces.
Yeah, sure do. Hey, Wendy.
Hi, Lori. Hi, Carlene. Well, my name is Wendy Urias, and I represent the Arizona and Nevada market. I've been with BEHR for 3 years, so I'm pretty excited to actually be on this with you guys today. So thanks, Carlene, and thanks, Lori, for the invitation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I think I did reach out to you once, and you're the one who got me this fan deck.
Yes.
And
you also did it off.
A really cute, I don't have it right here. But it was a really cute little ring of your color trends too.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Yeah. And you guys already announced your color of the year, right?
We did. We chose blank canvas because we feel like we're coming out of COVID, and we're kind of all rewriting all the rules for everything. So it seemed very apropos to not really have a strong color representing us this year. We feel like people need to figure out where they are going and start fresh. So we chose a very fresh, clean, creamy white color.
It's lovely. I got a sample of it immediately, and it is, it's a color with legs, is what I like to say. It's like there's a lot of applications for it. Definitely on trim and doors is going to be, a great. It's not super white; it's an off white. But if you don't like the stark white, like ultra pure white, if that's not your thing, then I think blank canvas is a good option, and it can also do it in a wall color.
Right.
And it's a very versatile color, and I think if I were going to do it on the walls and trim, I would change up the sheen a little bit. I would do matte on the walls and a higher sheen on your trim and doors. But yeah, so the architectural kit, I have a couple questions. One, you said it was 1,606 colors. Now, are there any new colors in that 1,600, or are they? It's pretty much your stock rotation of colors in there.
Well, the 1,606 is what you received. We did introduce 10 new colors. Designer collection is what we're calling it. And those are brand new whites and creams and grays for us. What we know in the marketplace is that there are, we know what the most specified colors are because we mix a lot of paint on a daily basis. So we do a lot of color matching. And what we did was we found the top 10 most specified colors from some of our competitors, and we are adding those to our collection because we did feel like we needed a few more whites and a few more creams to give a complete palette.
Interesting. We have a comment here, and I don't have his first name, so sorry. And it looks like your last name is Gregorio. It says, "Hi, Lori. I'm a paint contractor in Florida. Thank you for your advice. God bless you. Oh, hey, you're so sweet to chime in with that. Thank you so much. If you guys have questions for Carlene or Wendy, I have comments here. I forgot to mention that at the top. So yeah. So yeah, painters is another good topic. I want to get back to your 10 colors though, and we'll talk about paint contractors here in a second. So you said that the 10 colors were the most popular colors from other brands. Is that what I heard?
Yes. If you know, this is had such a good architectural kit where people can really work with it and use it and get digital colors and everything that you would want. We spent a lot of time and research in creating it. We asked architects and designers what they wanted in this collection and these color tools, and we incorporated everything that pretty much. We also know that you're used to using other brands. So for you to be able to come to BEHR and be comfortable making that transition, we needed to give you some colors that you felt very comfortable with. And once you see them, you know that you like things might be a Chantilly lace or something, which is known in the marketplace as the whitest white. We decided to give you something very, very, very close to that color, so that we could make that transition easier for you in the field.
Okay. Yeah. Chantilly lace is a very popular color from Benjamin Moore, and a lot of people do reference that as being a true white, and it kind of isn't. It's not it's not the whitest white you can get.
It's funny you say that. I have some of the newer colors, and this is, I don't know if it's going to show up very good. We're going to try, but this is
kind of hard to see.
Yeah. Let me see if there we go. That is Chantilly lace right there. And then this is, I'm going to put BEHR Ultra Pure White next to it and see if we can get it to not blow out.
Yeah. They're so white and bright, they are blowing out.
If you can see, it is a tad bit wider than even the Chantilly lace. I don't know if you can see it. And you can see the paint on my fingernails because I was painting this week. So if it's that clear, you can see that, but you can't see the white differences. But the ultra pure white is the whitest white because we don't have to add that little drop of black that most bases have, that undertone of blue when they're in their natural state. It's really hard to use those in without adding a little bit of black. And ours, we don't have to add that little bit of black. So we get that whiter white. And that's how we get those pure colors when you're looking at our pure colors, that's how we get really pure as well.
Yeah, it depends on how you want to qualify and quantify white, right? That's from a color science perspective, that's a whole discussion. But I kind of keep it simple, and I just look at the C lab values, the LAB values, and all of my Camp Chroma people will know what I'm talking about with the C lab values. And but that's up for debate, is if that's the best way to qualify the whitest white paint color or not. But you can tell, if you don't want to dive into the numbers, you can just get the chips. Like anyone can get a chip of Chantilly lace and get a chip of ultra pure white and compare them like you just did in person. And actually those are kind of fun things to do, to grab chips, and then you can see the difference. So,
right.
But yeah, when we were talking before, you had mentioned that the reason why the BEHR whites and off whites are so, I'd say they're clean. They have an edge to them that other brands don't have. And you said a little something about the TiO2 that you guys do.
Yes, we use a different kind of TiO2 than our competitors. It was actually a lab created TiO2. So we have a lot of solids in our paint, where most have a lot of solids, but they also add some clay and things like that and some other products. We don't add any clay. So ours is pure, the TiO2. So that's how we get that white. Wendy, you want to add something? She's been saying this a lot longer than I have. What?
You're right on. So, I mean, I have nothing to add to that, but we do have the purest white though, actually from the TiO2. So.
And Wendy, you guys, how was the supply during the whole supply chain issues things for you guys? Did you guys struggle with product?
No, I don't think we did. Actually, I think our competitors were having challenges, but we've been able to, deliver our products without any challenges. So, which is good.
Yeah. I wasn't sure when I reached out to you. I wasn't sure. It's like, because during that little time frame, it's like you never knew who was going to get back to you. You never knew who was still there. No way. So,
Mhm.
when I opened my door and found all those goodies on my doorstep, it's like, yeah, the wheels are still on. You guys are still moving along.
Good job, Wendy. The one thing that was really great too is that a lot of formulations across all brands have been out, like between semi-gloss and satins and high glosses and flats. It's been like they could make you a paint, but it might not be in the finish you wanted. And we've had a very steady supply stream of all of the finishes and haven't had that problem that a lot of our competitors have had. So that means we've been able to give uninterrupted service the whole time. And it also means we've gotten to take advantage of some of those supply chain issues. And people probably have gotten BEHR Paint. They didn't even know that they got BEHR Paint. Because we have very tight tinters that we use, and we can get really close, and you can't tell between one brand or the other what kind it is. So, you probably got some BEHR and didn't know it.
Yeah. That's interesting. So we're kind of back to those new 10 whites and near neutrals that you guys launched. Are those going to be in a separate fan deck, or how are we going to be able to get a hold of those?
They are in a separate little, I'll show you right now. I have a little
ring.
It's hard to follow the camera. I always go the opposite way. It's a little mini fan deck we put in some tried and true BEHR colors that go with it, some dark accents. And then we put in lots of our whites and light creams to go with it. So it's just a little bitty collection, but we are adding it right now into our fan decks. And I believe those fan decks should be rolling out, I believe, this month. And then we'll have some, I guess you want to say, supplementals for the binders that you'll be able just to put it in place, and it'll have designer collection right in the front of, see this is the box. I want you to be able to see it. Let's see. How can I make you see it? Okay. Oh, am I getting it?
Yeah, you got it.
I changed the screen,
okay.
so we can.
There's what it looks like, and it's complete. But at the very first volume is whites, grays. It's the whites, and then this is the grays and the neutrals. So binders 1 and 2 are your little mini fan deck that you have. This little mini fan deck matches up with the first 2 volumes.
Okay. All right.
And there's 2 of everything in the whites in here. There's 2 5x5s of every white, and then there's 1 of the grays and the neutrals. So we will add those designer collection. I believe it's going to go right in the front of volume 1.
Right.
Okay. That makes sense. So you had mentioned that in those new 10 colors, you had a color that is comparable to Chantilly lace, and I think you told me that was whipped cream.
I believe I did. Let me look, and I think that's the right color. Yes, it's called whipped cream. It's the comparable to Chantilly lace.
Mm-hmm. So if you just want to go to the Home Depot to compare colors to that ultra pure white to see what we were talking about, you can just get a chip of whipped cream right there at the Home Depot, because it's comparable to Chantilly lace from Benjamin Moore, and then you can do that comparison that Carlene was showing us. Right. And that's always fun to do, even if you're not looking to buy paint or looking for a white. It's always fun to take a look at the chips, and you can go, oh my gosh, I can see what they were talking about. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Right. The Sherwin-Williams whitest white, I believe, is extra white, and we're calling it winter white. So that would be their whitest white. And again, you can compare and contrast to the ultra pure white.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have some other colors in those 10. They're not all just white and off whites. You have an even better beige, which is a really pretty color. You have gratifying gray, natural white, tranquil gray. So those are all kind of, I would call those staple core colors that if you kind of don't know what to do, like if you just moved into a new house and you have to pick a color. I mean, they make you pick a color. When we built our house, I was looking at different builders, and the one builder was using Sherwin-Williams, and you had a choice between Repose Gray and Accessible Beige. So they make you pick a color. So if you have to pick a color, I think those 10 new colors that you guys are coming out with are a good collection to pick from. It's like I don't know what to do. So pick the one you think is prettiest and looks the best with your floor out of those 10. And then after you move in and you get set a little bit and you buy some more decor, then you can start repainting the rooms in colors. But I think that's a good resource, a narrowed palette if you are just stuck and just don't know what to do or where to go. So I like those micro capsule collections for those kinds of color answers.
It is. Those are all easy grabs because they're just not going to conflict with anything in the space. And you'll probably see bloggers, you know how they always use these tried colors, use these tried and true. I think you'll start seeing all of those new colors appear on those, palettes for bloggers and Pinterest and those kinds of things.
Yeah, yeah. And I said in earlier in stories on Instagram when I told everyone that we were doing this today, BEHR as a brand and as a palette kind of doesn't get a whole lot of spin out there on the internet. And I think it's because people don't understand the palette and the product. Number one, it's I think what's most interesting is that you guys are your own BEHR Corporation. Is it BEHR Corporation or BEHR Inc. or whatever? You're your own company. You just happen to be in a Home Depot store.
It was a brilliant move by the people who started with BEHR. They said, hey, why build stores when we can go into Home Depot and partner with them? And it was a win-win for both companies, but we're part of the Masco brand.
Oh, okay.
So if you are familiar with Delta Faucets or Kitzler Lighting, Peerless, Brizzo, Liberty Hardware, we're a part of that company, and then we sell our paint into Home Depot so that we don't have to have clock it.
Yeah,
and you don't have to worry. Go ahead, Wendy.
I'm sorry. We have, in what we do on a daily basis is, we obviously meet with designers and architects, and, we get the comments like, oh my gosh, we really love BEHR paint. We use it in our home. And they say, but we didn't know that you actually have commercial products. So they don't specify us in their projects. And there's misconception because they think we're a Home Depot brand. So it's like, it's unfortunate, but we aren't a Home Depot brand. We use them as our distributor, and we have over 2,000 distributor locations. So it just that's sometimes the negative side about being there at Home Depot.
Well, I'll tell you some of the positives with you guys being there at the Home Depot. I can go get samples clear up until 10 o'clock at night. 9, 10 o'clock at night. When I was in El Paso, I think that store closed at 9, but the ones here, there are a few that are open till 10. And I don't know if they still are after COVID. I haven't been there late, but I remember going to the Home Depot before at 9:45 at night, grabbing samples for my customer the next day. So you can't do that. You can't do that at an independent Benjamin Moore or a Sherwin-Williams because, those guys are closed by 6 o'clock. And, there are lots of times I'm wrapping up a consultation at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, because I'm meeting my clients, they can take off work an hour early and meet me at 4. So I'm done by maybe 6 or 7. And it's really nice when I can just swing by and get, I still remember what we talked about. If I can just go get everything to wrap up that consultation for them, and I can go get samples, because I do paint mighty boards actually for my upper tier on-site clients. We do paint boards for them. I don't always paint the boards. Jake and Nick will help me paint the boards, but it's nice if I can just, on my way home, stop and get everything and then get it done and get back there and wrap it up. So I really appreciate being able to stop by there, later in the evening. And like I said, you can't do that with Benjamin Moore and Sherwin-Williams. And if you have the luxury of time, then you can order chips, because Carlene, you were telling me that you guys have you guys have a process for ordering chips too, right?
Right. And I was also going to say that in every Home Depot, there are the Home Depot associates that mix paints, but there is also a BEHR rep at those stores that is there to take orders. If you have a painter that doesn't want to go stand in line, he just needs to go in there and ask for the BEHR rep, and he can text his orders, email his orders. They'll deliver the orders, whatever needs to be done, because we are truly just like the commercial Sherwin-Williams and everything about them. We have on site at every Home Depot.
Okay. And
so for you need to make good friends with the BEHR rep at your closest store.
I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely do. And so that's a good point too for color consultants and designers. If they stop into the Home Depot, they should ask for the BEHR, their store BEHR Pro rep, and then they can hook them up with, at least a fan deck and maybe even an architectural kit if they want one.
Well, actually, I mean, if you have designers here in Arizona or Nevada that need fan decks or the color boxes, or even in, Carlene's area, you can reach out to us.
Oh, okay.
That's what we're here for.
On our BEHR Pro, if you go to BEHR Pro, not BEHR, BEHRpro.com, that's where you will find all of the architectural and design reps and the BEHR Pro reps. It will link you up with everybody across the country. Immediately, you can get their information and figure out who's in your market that you can reach out to. That's easy to do.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
But on the sampling, I wanted to show you is so many things about designers' jobs that makes it so hard is the samples. Like how you have to find us and you ask us to you have to email us your list, and then we have to take your list and either make a drawdown or order the samples and get them mailed. And that could take up to a week a lot of times, or even 2 if we're out and about. Well, we've made it to where it's so easy for you to be able to get your samples. If you go to BEHRpro.com, you can find our palette online and you can enter the color name, and it puts it in a shopping cart and it will send it to you in 2 days. If you have one of the color boxes, the greatest thing that we did, this is like a game changer. Whenever it's like designers go, oh, whenever they see it. But on the back of every sample is a QR code. And we all learned in COVID that if you want your menu, you got to use the little QR code setting at the table. Well, this is exactly the same way. You just take your camera and you don't even have to take a pic. You just put it on camera and it picks it up and it takes you straight in and loads that swatch. I'll see if I can get it to not loads that swatch in. Mm-hmm. And you can put as many as you would like in. You can get up, I believe, 10 per color. The whites, grays, and neutrals, these 2 binders, you can get in 8x10 and 5x5, but all of these other colors, this is kind of like, this is where you work, this is more where you play. Those come in 5x5s, and you receive them in 2 days.
Okay. 2 days. I'm going to make some noise here, you guys, so sorry. Because I meant to do this before I got on here, but I forgot. I want to pull out a chip of actually the ultra pure white here. And so on the back, I'm going to hold it up really closely. So my Camp Chroma students, we talk about RGB values all the time. Mm-hmm. And because RGB values don't define or describe what paint colors look like. And so I asked you yesterday, it's like, why do you guys have RGB values on the back of the chip? And it's you put it there so people could make a digital swatch of the color. So that's why that information is there. My Camp Chroma people, we use hex codes because then it's only one value to copy and paste as opposed to copying and pasting 3 individual RGB values. So that's a little different for them, but it's kind of consistent. All the brands usually include RGB values, and it's a huge misconception that it tells you how much red, green, and blue a color quote has in it. That's not what RGB values do. Directly from Carlene, you guys. They put RGB values on their chips so you can use those values to make a digital swatch. It's not to tell you how much red, green, and blue is in it. So just want to make that clear and tell everybody why that was on these swatches. And the other thing about these swatches is I love the size. They are 5x5, and I don't know. I just like the proportion of it. It's just a nice little chunk of color for like, when you're laying everything out. And it's just, like I said, I just like the proportion of it. It's not too skinny, and it's not the big 8x, the 8x12s, which some of them are, which you end up having to use the chip as the background for other stuff when you lay it all out, as opposed to, the chip being an entity and part and a component of the entire layout. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's easy to put that on a sample board and move along without having to do a lot of cutting and all of that. So it's just it's easy to incorporate with all your fabrics, whatever they are. So I love this size myself too. I mean, sometimes you need 8x10 for an exterior so you can step back and see the blowout, a little bit of color. We were talking yesterday about how, people want to see all these multiple colors and they try to choose things that are not that far apart, but far enough apart when you're looking at them inside, but you take them outside and they are blown out and you can't tell which color is which, unless it's a really graduated separation. Those 8x10s will come in handy in those cases.
That's the thing. You just need them all. And I'm like, you can't have too many paint colors and you can't have too many color tools. I love all the things. And, but you need the different sizes for different reasons. You need the 5x5. Like I said, it's great for working with, it's great for ideation, and it's great for laying out your little, your tray of mood boards and planning, right? It's great for ideation. The 8x10 gives you a better preview of the color because it's bigger, and you're right, outside these 5x5 things, that's not the right tool for exterior ideation if you're standing flower bed.
Standing back and checking it out.
It's not the right size. You need the bigger ones. And then, I talk about mighty boards a lot too, because those are the 17x24. And by the way, the BEHR samples are the perfect size to work with mighty boards because you get 2 full, really good coats on that 17x24 mighty board, and it uses up almost the entire container. So, I can leave those sit out overnight and they dry up and I can throw them in my trash can, no problem. So they're not too big and they're not too little. I love your samples.
Thank you.
Yeah. But you need all the things, it's like you have to, you need all the sizes, you need all the color tools. And I love to talk to, I talk to CCI Color Communications because I think they actually make some of your color collateral for you for BEHR. And, it's important to have all of the color tools and know what's available. And I think a lot of color consultants aren't aware of all of the stuff or who to talk to and how to get them. And knowing that there's a BEHR rep in store, that, that changes things for a lot of people because they think that they have to talk to the very nice people behind the counters at Home Depot who mix the paint, but they don't always have all of the answers for, the bigger picture. It's like, they don't care that I'm a color consultant. It's like, lady, what paint do you want me to mix for you? And they mix me that paint, but they can't answer the bigger questions. So it's good to know that there's a BEHR rep in store that can do that. And I think that's going to change. I think that's going to change the opinion of a lot of color consultants and make BEHR more of an option than maybe it has been before, because they weren't aware that there was that kind of support, both in terms of people and stuff. Yeah.
And in our products too, we have a whole line of, what you see in the store may not be what we have if you're doing, say, you're doing a large commercial job or a mural that's larger than the size of a room, and you really want to make sure that the colors, true all the way across, but you may not want to be spending the money that you're using. Like, we made the paints that are in Home Depot, a lot of those are made to hide any lack of knowledge for a DIY home person to be able to paint a wall and have it turn out good. So when we have the professional painter, we make the same formulations that our competitors do, not the same formula, but the same types of paints in the professional world, that they don't have to pay that huge, not huge, but larger sticker price for the residential products. There is a line of Commercial Pro, BEHR Pro lines to alleviate those cost concerns, the quantity concerns, 5-gallon buckets type things. So we have all those products geared towards multifamily, geared towards hospitality, geared towards healthcare. We have an extensive line of other products that your BEHR Pro rep or in-store rep can educate you on as well, and guide you towards saving the most money and using the right product for the right job.
Okay. What do you think is the most popular, like for a color consultant who's specifying, and let me say this before we get into that question. The reason why I was intrigued when you reached out to me on LinkedIn was because I had noticed an uptick in traffic on the Paint Color DNA table to the BEHR colors. And it's like, I don't even have that many BEHR colors in there yet. It's like, what is going on? And you kind of said that you guys have been doing, you've been doing stuff. You've been out there and more products and new tools and people are listening, Carlene.
Well, the only way we can, capture new business and capture new customers, new consultants is if they do have the tools, and we want you to have the tools.
Right.
And so, we're not stingy. If you go on and you order some swatches, it goes through our platform. It's called Swatchbox. That's who takes care of our sample orders and ships within 2 days. But if you order some samples, you can say, I need a fan deck, and we'll send you that fan deck, and you've got the fan deck in your hands. Some of our, like the color boxes and things, we'll have to go through some of the architectural team for approvals, because we want them to always be available to the professional who needs them. So, but fan decks, the fan decks are available. We want you to have those. I haven't even shown you my favorite tool is the color guide.
Oh, and before we get to that, I just want to show everyone, this is what it looks like when you get samples from Swatchbox. This is an envelope. So this is actually your color of the year in there.
Okay.
And I'm going to do another video about that. So
Oh,
I haven't
great.
opened it yet.
Awesome.
So yeah. So let's talk about the Atlas. That's a great tool.
Well, it is a great tool because a lot of people probably have this, but they probably didn't have one that was this thin. It is the whole palette at a glance, I guess is what you can say. But you can see 12 pages out of our color fan deck at a time. Oh, let me get this up.
12.
12 pages at once.
That's like a dozen leaves out of a fan deck all together in one
Right.
view.
So what we did is we also arranged it to where our colors actually follow the color wheel. So we put everything together. That was one of the resounding comments from our research, was that they don't want 3 separate sections in a fan deck. They want to see all the reds together, all the oranges together, all the yellows together, and so on. And you follow it along. So we actually set it up. We split it right into purples. So we start, we're in kind of purples, but they're red purples. And as you flip through, it'll say magentas and reds up at the top, magentas and reds. And so you can see the fan deck really quickly, and to figure out where you want to go, it makes it so much easier than just looking at one leaf of a fan deck at a time. Yeah. And putting other colors together. You're like a contortionist when you have this. You're like, I want red and blue together. You got to bend the swatch, okay, I want this and I want this. And, you're bending it up and all of that. You can just take your fan deck and run across the guide, and it makes it so much easier as a consultant to use.
Yeah. And, again, because I know I have a lot of my Camp Chroma students who are with us. We actually have 5 people watching now, 5 to 10. I think half of them are Camp Chroma students. So in the Atlas, one of the things that you guys are going to find is they didn't separate out the neutrals and near neutrals. Instead, they have them all within their hue family. So once you guys establish what hue family that page is about, all of those colors belong to that hue family. I haven't checked it, right? I haven't measured the colors in your Atlas to see if, they are literally all the exact same hue family notation, but it's going to be close. So on a page in the Atlas, it's a very tight hue family range is probably the best way to explain it technically. And that is unique for most displays and orders of color collections, because, and this drives me nuts, oftentimes they will break out all of the near neutrals and chromatic grays into a separate part of the color display or a separate part of the book. And it doesn't, having them all together in a tight hue family range is very helpful because you can see the color relationships then.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it helps you make colors better.
Right.
Also, Carlene, I don't know if you want to show them, or on the back of our guide, our color guides, we have our RGBs and also the light reflective value on the back as well.
Yeah.
The one thing that I love about it is what we did, and I've never seen anybody else arrange it this way, but when you really understand how it goes together, it makes putting a palette together super simple. We are calling out what's a pure shade. We call out what's a muted shade. We call out what's a shaded shade, which means adding black. And then the neutral shade, which is adding of the gray. So if you look across the entire, if you're looking across this and say you love this, beautiful color right here, it is in the pure family. So you can flip anywhere in this guide and find the piece. That color anywhere on here is going to blend in and work perfectly with that one, so that you can really kind of narrow in. If you're wanting to do pink and blue together and you've found the blue that you love, then when you go to the reds, hey, I need to look. If you've chosen from the M column, then go to the reds and look in the M's, and you're going to find something. They're going to marry together and be a very cohesive look.
Is there a legend for that in the book? Because I see there are some of the colors begin with an S, some of them have a P, some of them have an N.
There are exceptions to the rule. Like you're going to see PPU, that denotes, that's more of a formula that is used in the store for like Marquee and Dynasty. But if you look along the whole column, you're going to see there is a P, an M, an N, or an S that's kind of leading the way down the column. So if you see S and then you see a PPU or an M, just still know that that's in the shaded family. Just whatever is leading down that vertical line, if that makes any sense.
So S is shaded, N is neutral, and P is pure. Those are the three big ones.
And M is muted.
And M is muted. So it's S, N, M, P.
Yes.
Okay. So Camp Chroma students, what they've done is they've broken out different steps of chromaticity. So they've coded the neutral colors with an N and the muted colors with an M, and then you have pure colors with a P, and then S colors, which are darker, which is shaded. So those are chromaticity steps that they've kind of categorized for their colors. So then you don't necessarily have to look up the chroma notation for the color. You can use the you can use the color number that BEHR has assigned to it in the atlas to figure out what category these colors are in. So that's a shortcut, right? You're going to end up having to check the notations before you commit to buying samples. At least I would. But at least if you're using the atlas, at least they have them broken out and notated with S, M, N, and P, which is, that's a helpful tool.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially if you go into a Home Depot store and you can kind of look at it and go, okay, what do I want to put together? And you see that whole, all 1,600 chips staring at you. That can be overwhelming to try to figure out, okay, what do I put together? And so, the challenge is to go from 1,606 to 1 or 2 or 3 colors. And that's a difficult, that's why people hire you, is to help them get there. So we just want to make it to where it's easier and it's faster for you. So you don't have to spend so much time. If you know that this is the right blue and you want to put an orange with it, then, and it's an M, then go to the oranges and look at those M's, and it's going to help you get there much quicker, or make the suggestion and feel much more confident in what you're suggesting, to know that, hey, they're not going to get this and think, for some reason this just isn't working. And so many people select a paint and they're like, it's a beautiful color, but it's just not working for me. The reason it's not working for you is because it's not the right color for the surroundings that it's setting in. So
yeah. So what else do you guys have coming up that you can tell me about, or is that?
Well, we've got the color guide comes in this as well, but you can get the color guide at Swatchbox as well. Oh. You can get the large fan deck, the small, this is kind of our thought process here is this is where you work. This is where a lot of people start. Nobody very rarely paints their home in a bright blue all throughout. You're going to have that neutral kind of colors that are going to come in these. And then this is kind of where you play. So this is where you go to play when you're doing those ancillary rooms, those media rooms, kids' rooms, bedrooms, kitchens, or whatever. this is where you would go for that. So we tried to make this easy. You can go into a client 9 times out of 10 and probably just have to take this with you, and then maybe even the color guide, and you can get through it.
Okay. So let's talk about paint product. So what would be your advice for, a color consultant? And, because like I said, people are bringing their colors to me more than they ever have before. And I'm a big fan of buying your color in its home brand. So what product would you recommend, color consultants recommend to their clients? What's the product that's best for a residential wall?
Wendy, you want to answer it for her? I would say Marquee, if it would be your best bet. That's going to have the easiest use of and finish out. Like you might be able to get through with just one coat.
Mm-hmm.
The odds are very good, so it's going to come out a little more cost effective if you're paying labor and you only have to pay for one coat through. It's much better to do that than it is to have to pay for 2 and 3 coats and touch up, and there's flashing. One thing I didn't mention is at the front of the fan guide is a sheen guide.
Oh yeah.
So that's important to know what sheens you're wanting to work with, because how it affects colors. We did a light, a medium, and a dark color so that you can see how sheen affects color really up close. It's not all the same. You don't want to just have a white sitting there. So we gave you a light, a medium, and a dark for you to be able to see what finish you're going to select and how it does affect it. Mm-hmm. And so that's an important part of it too. If you're using a semi-gloss on the wall and you're spraying or rolling it, and then you go back to touch up with the paintbrush, there's going to be flashing. Yeah. So I would say use a more premium product so that you don't have that technical flashing that someone's like, did you use a different color? Did you mix it right? That happens. The higher the sheen you go, that's part of the world that we live in.
Yeah. Well, I've actually used Marquee and Matte. We have 2 rental units, and we actually lived in one for a while before we moved. This is a new house for us. So we lived in our 3-bedroom for quite a while, and each of my boys wanted a different color. So I actually had it color matched to a Dunn Edwards color, and it was like something ivory from Dunn Edwards, but I had it color matched because it was late, right? It's like we decided last minute before we were moving in there. It's like, do I have to have that, off-white wall? It's like, no, you don't. What do you want? So we swung by the Home Depot and grabbed 2 gallons of the Marquee Matte in that Dunn Edwards color, and it's a really nice finish. That's a very nice finish, final finish, that matte.
Mm-hmm. It is. And we have some other products that commercially, a big request by people is they want that flat finish, but they want to be able to scrub it. So we have a product called Scuff Defense. It is like a dead flat, but it is scrubbable like a semi-gloss.
Okay. I have a question.
Things like that.
Yeah, I have a question from Colette Harrison. She was wondering if you ship to the UK, a fan deck to the UK, a consultant in the UK.
Well, I believe we have things worldwide. I don't know that we would ship them. I don't know if Swatchbox ships out of the country.
We can find it.
But I think we could send her one if she'll, send myself or Wendy an email. We'll try to get her one.
Okay. Yeah, Colette's out there on social media a lot. She's very active in the Fair on Ball Facebook group and
great, yeah,
other groups. And
I mean, we're worldwide, so I think it shouldn't be a problem. Are there Home Depots in the UK?
No, they're not.
Okay,
we only have them here in the United States. And Mexico.
Yeah. Okay, Colette says thanks. She's a good one to have on your team. Let me tell you that out there. She's a good social media friend to have.
Okay.
Trust me there. So is there anything else you guys want to share with all of my little tribe here, my little tribe that's small but mighty?
Well, we truly appreciate the time you've given us, the opportunity, and for us to be able to share our story, because we're very proud of our story, but it's a guerrilla marketing thing. We're having to do it at an individual level to really tell our story and to really get it out there about how we are. We're very proud of our products. We have superior chemistry that's behind our formulations, and we spend a lot of time on color. We really look at everything about the product because we want to make it easy for everybody. And if we can make it easy for a consumer, just what we can do for a consultant or an architect or a designer, how much easier we're having to make it. So, you know, we want to make your lives easier. We want to make it faster and more successful. And so much appreciate your time to listen to us and to work with our products.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, like I said, there's no such thing as too many paint colors. I like having options. I know that there are consultants who like their set of go-to colors, but I just can't work that way. I just can't. It's like, and our process includes a color muse and measuring fixed finishes and important elements, and then aligning those hue angles with paint colors. And you need a pool of colors to choose from to hit those color harmonies that tight.
Right.
So I was really excited to see these 1,606 colors in this new architectural kit, as adding on to options for what I do. And I know that there are other consultants out there who feel the same way. It's like, even if you like having core colors and you're looking for something different, I strongly encourage you to take a look at this palette because they are really, really pretty colors. And when I've done the searches before, I've told you how I work, and then there are BEHR colors that pop up. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Oh, yeah, there is that one.
We didn't make it easy for you to have the swatches and things like that. Our old case used to just be loose samples, and
right,
it was good for about one day.
Yeah.
And the first time you pulled something out of it, it was like, okay, now how do I find it again? Unless you were really very
organized.
Took a lot of time to put it back in play. So this is such an easy system to use, and I think it's going to change the game for us, and hopefully change it for you as well, and make it so much easier to work, because those loose samples are never a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, it was really nice talking to you guys. And if you guys have anything new coming up, which actually I heard through the grapevine that you guys do have some new things coming down the pike. When you're able to talk about those, let me know, and we'll hop back on here and chat about those new things, those new and exciting things that you guys are working on. Okay.
All right. We will definitely do that.
Thank
you so much, Lori. And I look forward to coming back again sometime.
Yeah. Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I'm going to end the broadcast. So everybody watching live and everyone watching the replay on YouTube, thanks a lot for spending an hour with us. We chatted for an hour. And when I come back and we have another conversation with these guys about what's new, I'll let you guys know, okay? So be sure to subscribe and like this video so you don't miss any of my new videos coming up. And I'll see you guys later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.